Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the second episode of Clout Chasers. My name is Kristian and Hrvoje, and I'm joined by.
Hrvoje.
We are freshly from the train, getting back from Krefeld, Germany, where we played in the 768, I think, player regional.
Yep, 768.
So first of all, I have to ask you, Hrvoje, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling really tired. So, for those who may not know, I stayed in Japan for a while, and I came back on Thursday. And then on Friday, I was already flying to Germany. And to top it off, I think I just picked up a cold or something over the trip. And our way back was not the most convenient, so I'm also still tired from that. How about you, Kristian?
Well, unlike you, I'm also super tired. Like, our way back was. I mean, we decided for a reason it was quite cheaper, so we decided that sure, for that difference of price, we'll sacrifice a few days of sleep. But it was a struggle. I mean, on the other hand, we had some nice company. Shout out to Jure and Sandra. Yeah, being in train for about 20 hours with almost 3 hours of layovers takes a toll on you.
Yeah, let this be a lesson for everyone. You book your flights in time so that they're not 300 euros for one direction, because then you get the dumb idea like, let's take a train. It's only 80 euros, which to be fair is a significant saving. But yeah, we should have just booked flights in time. Like this was so.
I mean,
so
on the other
painful.
hand, the only possible flight will not enable me to play out the finals. Maybe not even the semis.
If we booked like 3 months in advance, we probably could have gotten a cheap flight on Monday.
But we didn't even know 3 months in advance if the tournament was happening. I think it was something like month and a
Somewhere
half.
in January. Yeah, in any case, book your flights in time. You'll save money. You'll save a lot of sleep and nerves.
And not only that, we're doing the podcast, we're doing the articles, and woo, we're flying once again to England,
Wolverhampton.
where you can once again meet us, tell us in real life what you think about the podcast and what would you like to see. And we also hope to do well at the tournament. With that in mind, there's also one more thing that I kind of feel I owe our listeners. I mentioned that I mentioned in the last part that I was doing a lot of ranked sim, but that there's a new like main server, which where a lot of people gravitated towards, especially because it's smart, because it's advertised right on the sim client. So I dabbled my toes. Is that the phrase? Dabble your toes? Dip your toes.
Dip your toes.
Dip your toes. I dipped my toes there, and by dip my toes I mean that I got to rank 1. I definitely dropped some spots I didn't even check because I was in Germany, unable to play. But yeah, it feels nice to see yourself at the top.
Yeah, he just got rank 1 easily. So you might see me on that journey as well. If you join our Patreon and join our Discord, I will be streaming myself playing a lot of ranked sim now that I'm back in Europe, because I have a lot of catching up to do, and there's a lot of interesting developments in the meta, especially the K2 Sakazuki list, which I'm really looking forward to trying out. So yeah, if you want to see how it looks like learning a deck from our perspective, just get into the Discord and join us.
Yeah, and I think with that we can move on to our next segment, which is questions from the audience. Once again, we will not be answering any questions, but the development.
We did get them though.
Yes, we did get questions from the audience, but we got questions about specific tempo considerations in Gecko Moria. We got questions about stage or no stage. Basically, what are our thoughts about the K2 list of Sakazuki? And all these questions are strategic questions. We'll be answering those in specific guides. Specifically, Hrvoje will be updating his Sakazuki guide, and there you will find the discussion about perks and cons of Navy HQ. Is that the name of the stage?
Yeah, that's the Marineford, same thing.
Marineford, yeah, sure.
Navy HQ is the official name.
And yeah, and questions about life control, Gecko priorities, diet cost,
Point
Gecko priorities.
being, these are strategic questions. We'll be answering them through like all the types of content we intend to produce anyways. The questions for the pod are like more like generally aimed at us on a more personal level, like just the stuff and considerations that goes on and like not necessarily our personal lives, but just how we approach different things which are not like gameplay specific related for this format.
Or if they're gameplay specific, they need to be relatively general, because we want the pod to be relatively broad in the themes we spend. And then if you are interested in specific deck or a specific matchup, then you can find those on our Patreon. Still keep the questions coming, because even if we don't answer them on the podcast, we still really want to hear what you want from us. And then usually we'll always answer them, but the question is in what format we will answer them. And once again, the strategy stuff in the strategy guides. Okay. And now to the main topic, which would be the Krefeld Regional, which we played this weekend. Hrvoje, oh yeah, a little bit story time again. So, we get there. We land to Eindhoven relatively late. As is tradition, we go to McDonald's. We find that they have Yu-Gi-Oh! X Hello Kitty, right?
Yeah.
So get all aboard those plushies. And then in a stroke of faith, let's call it that, we miss our bus.
I mean, it wasn't due to the plushies. It was because I spilled Kristian's like cocoa milkshake. Coconut milkshake. Yeah, I mean,
I didn't want to put you on the spot, but yes, that's what happened.
So I was like, I would feel too bad leaving it there for the workers to clean up. So I went and asked them for stuff, and then I mopped it up myself. But we lost some time because of it, and we were late to the bus. So yeah.
And then we found out that we have to check in very early, but one of our friends was already there, so we managed to solve that. Then we had some issues with our Uber, but in the end we literally managed to get there with the Uber, get in the train, and the train started. So a little bit of a stress getting there. Yeah.
I like how you just didn't even mention Joris. He's the guy that won Treasure Cup Hanover. He's our good friend. Yeah. He did the check-in for us, or like part of the check-in as much as he could. Picked up the room keys, so we were able to enter our rooms in the hotel. So yeah, it was a bit of an adventure for me. It was even more like before I got to the airport for the flight to Germany. I was already like, there were so many complications and stuff. I was just desperation setting in my mind. I'm like, I'm just gonna flunk this event anyways. Who cares? I don't want to go. And yeah.
And I really tried to get him off that mindset, but
I'm a stubborn person.
You are. Anyways, yeah. So and always, I always bring it up because it's very important to me, and I know it is for Hrvoje. These things would be so horrible if I was traveling alone, but traveling with a group of close friends, like none of these issues really like brought me down. It was just a cool story to tell. I mean, it's not like we came out unscathed. Like it takes a little bit of toll on you, but it's so much easier when you are in good company.
Especially the spilled milkshake. It was like almost full. So.
And I really like the milkshake. It's great. If you go to Netherlands, coconut milkshake. Top remarks from me. Anyways, We do some testing. We don't have any tables, so we are testing on the floor. We're doing some sakas, katakuris, gecko moria mirrors, uh, switching our sleeves because of our previous experiences, we are very particular about our prep. We like several people will check our sleeves.
Well,
We
yeah.
yeah. So we did all that. Went to sleep, and then at like 6 a.m. we hear drilling in our hotel, which
It's
wakes everybody up.
Saturday 6 a.m. They just start drilling somewhere. It's like
But yeah, well, whatever. We go have breakfast and we go to the venue. One of our friends got there just to try to get the he didn't get the ticket, so he tried to get the early bird, whatever someone didn't show up ticket. He even managed that. So everything was going great.
yeah, he waited
And
there
then
since I think 5:30 a.m. or something like that.
something like that.
That's how
Yeah.
you do it, guys. Like you might think you can come early and get a ticket, but Kristian in Barcelona for the regional in like OPO 4.5, I think. He thought,
Something like
I'm
that,
just
yeah.
gonna show up at like 7:30. Like that should be enough. That's not enough. He was like
Yeah,
30
the tournament started at 10, and I'm like 7:30 should be enough. There were like 20 people ahead of me.
Yeah, so if you want to do that, be like Jura Kukic. You need champions mindset. You show up 5 a.m. and you'll guaranteed get in. You just have to have like the strongest willpower. We will
And
not
when he
discuss
commented
his
that,
final result in the tournament, but that's how you enter the
I
tournament.
love it when he commented that. Then he added a little gif of, and he said like, "I'm gonna be like this," and the gif is of Rambo coming out of the river. Like, I don't know. I thought it was funny.
It was.
Anyways, let's talk about our run-in tournament. Shall you start?
Oh yeah, I'll keep mine sort of brief, mainly because Kristian is the star of the show this weekend, and also because I'm writing up a summary or a review of the tournament from my perspective for Patreon, which will also include some of my like deck list considerations and tournament prep. So yeah, I'll try to keep it not too long here. So yeah, I went with Sakazuki. To me, I figured he's the best choice for OPO 6. I had like several conversations with Asian players about it, and obviously it was my most practiced deck, given I didn't practice that much in Japan. So it was like, it's already a natural like progression to go to OPO 6 Sakazuki if you have played OPO 5. You just need to get used to like Gecko Moria play patterns. So yeah, I showed up to a tournament with relatively low expectations. As I said I had some desperation moments, not even wanting to play, but I think it turned out fine. One thing that was unusual for this tournament compared to my usual runs is I won a lot of die rolls. Usually my die roll luck is awful, but in this tournament I got a lot of it paid back, I think. Perhaps even more than I deserved. So it's possible some of it carried me in some matches where unfamiliarity with the matchup might have cost me. In any
And also,
case,
you won some stream games, which is
yeah.
a pog is.
Yeah, I mean that was how I did it before Worlds. Worlds was the anomaly event where I just lost all stream games. Usually I perform very well in stream games, but yeah, I have the list of matchups here, so I'll just be reading it off my phone. Round 1 it was against NL. I won the roll. I went second. I think I had like multiple Gecko Morias, so it was never really a game. It was just I don't know. NL feels like a very easily beatable matchup in OPO 6, just because you have so many more power cards, the really strong 8-cost body that like goes like you get the Rebecca Hinawuchi together with an 8-cost body, effectively.
And I think that a lot of players think that they will just katakuri the Gecko Moria and they're like, fine. Dude, you're so far from fine. After I play an 8-cost body, get 1 or 2 more bodies, and you just get rid of one, like... Oof.
Yeah, that's one thing people didn't really understand in OPO 5. If they play NL and they katakuri or 7-cost Borsalino, now they might be like in a position to start starving you, but the issue is, if you played efficiently up to that point, they made it sure so they can never win a race. You can just kill them before they can kill you, because they just healed you. And especially if you see more of your like big resource producing bodies, such as Kaido in OPO 5 and Gecko Moria in OPO 6, they're also not going to win the resource game either, because you just keep clearing, you keep swinging, and eventually they run out of cards and die. That was not very stressful. Second round was Gecko Moria. I won die roll again. I chose first, of course, and I know it was just like a very standard game. I think I had 7 because Borsalino. I had the Moria, not much trouble. Third round it was Yamato, which was actually one of the new matchups I put in perhaps too much preparation time for. Like, fun fact, Kristian played a lot of Yamato, and he was kind of hyped on it. And then I came back from Japan and we played like I don't know how, 8 to 10 games.
Yeah.
And I kind of demolished him. So yeah, I just figured my approach to the matchup is good. I wasn't afraid of any Yamatos I encountered. I won the Dyro, which helped. And actually, looking at it, this guy went 7-2. Okay, I cannot see his placement, but he did place well. But yeah, I just wasn't afraid of Yamato at all. Like, I chose to go second, took the first 8k, and then just played as normal. Round 4, Perona. I didn't prepare the matchup at all. And it did get kind of sweaty. And maybe I'm overestimating how sweaty it got, because I was continuously clearing his bodies and saw Moria, so I played a very comfortable game. But I could imagine scenarios where if things were slightly different, if I didn't have access to like an Ice Age, then the game would maybe get difficult and I would possibly die. I don't know. As I said, didn't really test the matchup. It is on my list of things to do. But it's also not a matchup I consider very relevant in this meta, so I figure...
And we also have to bring up that the fact that Hrvoje sometimes mentions that some of the matches we didn't test. This is actually quite unusual for us, because we do spend a lot of time, especially at the beginning of a set, going through all the matchups. And in this case, because he was in Japan, I did most of that work, and then I usually just tell him the results. But in this very specific case, as I said, pretty unusual for all the rest of the metas and the sets, he didn't get to test most of the like non-off meta decks.
Yeah, and we were not on the same deck to begin with. Like, Kristian was never really that hyped on Sakazuki for OPO 6. Round 5 was another NL. I don't really remember how that game went. I just remember I was in such a dominant position because I had like 2 or 3 Morias that I just stopped caring, and like I knew I won, so I just like started playing very sloppily, and it took a while to close out because I knew I could never lose, and that's a really bad habit to have. But I was starting to feel like a bit of tiredness throughout the day, and knowing I won the game, I just really didn't care how it ends because I was pretty sure I cannot lose. Round 6 was on stream, on a very laggy stream for what I've seen. Like, people did not necessarily catch all the happenings, but I won pretty comfortably if I recall correctly, because I could just clear everything as Katakuri, and I mean, you can watch the match. We will definitely do a water review at some point for our stream games, so I won't go into too much detail. For round 7, it was another match on stream. I was like, why am I being featured 2 matches in a row? And then my opponent revealed a Reiju leader, which made sense. Like, they probably didn't expect much Reiju at top tables, and it was the most interesting deck because it was like a sea of Gecko Moria and Sakazuki. So sure, we went to play on stream. And once again, we'll water review that match, but I did win comfortably. And there's, I think, some lessons that will be very valuable from the water review for playing against Reiju, which will also obviously be in the updated Sakazuki guide. Round 8 and round 9 were both mirrors, and I lost both of them. In one of them, I lost the die roll, and I don't know, I just had a very mediocre opening, and I could never catch up to my opponent. I had to, like... Okay, there was a possibility, actually, to... Oh, no, I'm mixing up. Round 8, there was pretty much nothing I could do to win. I opened far worse and got outguided fairly easily. I had to all in desperately, didn't work. Round 9, what happened was, like, I won die roll, made him go first, but he had like all the bottom decks, like Houndblaze, Borsalino. And I found myself without Robouchis, without Hinas. And I generally had a solo opener. But I did eventually join to my Morias before he did, so I started catching up. And then we were table 3, and on table 2 we had a down-paired player win against the EXO, which meant that after after this round is the last round because there will be only one XO, which turned out to be Kristian. So I was like, I can keep trying to grind from this position because I have another Gecko Moria, and then I lose if he has his 4th Hound Blaze. I can just all in and see what happens. And I was pretty sure I top anyways due to my tiebreakers, so I just all in. It did not work. And we did check. He would play brand new. He would not find what he needs. He would cycle, find a Great Eruption, and Eruption would draw the 4th Hound Blaze, which does appear to be a recurring topic in matches against me. But yeah, I would lose anyways, so I don't feel too bad about it. And once again, I did top, so yeah. And then for day 2, so usually what happens when
yeah. First of all, day 1, placement?
23rd.
I think 23rd, right?
Yeah, I played against 10th place. So for day 2, usually what happens is we find out who we are playing against next day, figure out what deck they're playing, and just test the matchup because like you want to start the next day with a win. For me, I didn't do that. I planned to do that. We ate dinner, went to the hotel room, and Joris was like there with his I think he had both Mori and Sakazuki ready. I was like, I'm just gonna lie down a little bit, and I slept like a baby.
No. Well, let me tell the story. Okay, so, so we eat dinner, and we're going back to our place to test. Joris, because Hrvoje is playing Saka Mirror, they're gonna test. So he goes with him, and me and the guys, we went to the store to get some snacks, and we got back a little bit later. And we get to our room, and what we find? We find Joris on the floor, on his phone, and Hrvoje snoring. And what proceeds to happen is the guys are testing with me my matchups for tomorrow. We didn't know it was Kata or Gecko, so we played some Kata, we played some Gecko. We finish at like 2 a.m. I jump into the bed, and we're like, oh. Wakes up, and I'm like, dude, I got you toothpaste. And he's like, awesome. And that's it. And brushes his teeth, goes to sleep. So yeah, that's that was the prep for day 2. How did the game go?
So yeah, I didn't do the usual night before preparation. Pro-Land was most necessary because yeah, I felt like my Moria and Sakazuki matchup prep was lacking, but I already felt happy. I wasn't thinking I will necessarily top 32, just because I was feeling very down about the event before the event. But then I played the top 32, and it was against Francisco Gutierrez, who is a really good player. He got top 8 at European Championship, where he lost to me in top 8. So it was his chance for a rematch. And yeah, he was the higher seed. Made me go first. Game 1 I opened pretty well, so it was just like a very clean victory. And pretty fast, I think like 15 or 16 minutes. Game 2, I was once again going first, and he just pudding me twice for like my life savings. I don't think those were like very good value puddings because a lot of my boards survived. I had like Kuzan and a bunch of searchers, but they just both bricked me so hard. I had no removal after drawing from puddings, so I was put in a really tough position. And then when he played his second Gecko Moria, I had to I basically had to all in and hope that he cannot counter out. He had a lot of 2k counters in trash already, but he also had a lot of cards in hand. He was on 1 life. I tried. He had 2 more 2ks and several 4 1ks to defend. So I was there. And then game 3 probably hurts me the most because I did get kind of unlucky. I made him go first. He had a lot of searchers. I had a very slow start. But what it came down to was we started grinding. Like I saw some Gecko Morias, he saw Rebecca Hinauchi, and later a Gecko Moria. And then we entered time turns, and I started getting board control. But the issue is I'm on 0 life, he's on 3. So I need to plan a way to kill him. And what happens is I managed to establish full board control. He has leader, Boker Borsellino, but I have 2 Gecko Morias, Robo Uchi, and 2 Boker Borsellinos. He has 1 card in hand, or 0 cards in hand. He's on top deck, so there's no way to Houndblaze win against me. And it's his last turn of time. And what happens is he brand news, he finds lightsaber, I think, the Amo no Murakami, cycles it, draws into Gecko Moria, and he goes from having one blocker, one card in hand, to having Gecko Moria, two blockers, rested Branyu, I think, and two 2Ks in hand, because Branyu also found a 2K. So I go to my last turn in time, and I need to find a way to win with like 3.5 minutes on the clock, and I mess up. I got a bit tilted from the top deck. I did not even think to ask for deck count, because I was eyeballing it. Like, his grave seemed smaller compared to his deck than mine did to mine. Like, my trash and deck were pretty equal. His grave seemed smaller, so I didn't ask for deck count. So I used Eruption, I cycled. Big mistake. I ended up losing on deck count 20 to 18. But I also, probably because I used the Great Eruption and didn't manage to find the Hound Blaze, I didn't have enough done, because it's possible I could have just forced lethal by just going 7/7, 8, 9, 9, 9. In any case, yeah, I could only put him down to 0 life, and then deck count decides. But if I didn't cycle and did the same thing, we would both be 20, and then I would win on character count, because he would have to use his blockers to survive, so I would have more characters and I would win. But the problem was also, at that time, I did not know what the third tiebreaker was. I wasn't sure if it's the deck count or the last person who took a life. If it was character count or the last person who took a life. So yeah, it was mostly came down to me like tilting and making a mistake, and not cooling myself down to make like the good judgment. So yeah, I ended up losing. Francisco ended up doing really well. He got to top 4. As I said, he's a really good player, so it's not a surprising result, and congratulations to him. But yeah, I'm still like kind of mad at myself for making mistakes, which I would say I usually don't make. So yeah, that was my tournament run. And how about you, Kristian?
I'm far less diligent with my notes during the tournament, so
These were
I will
notes.
tell you
This
what
is just
I
limitless.
remember. Sorry?
And this is just limitless. There's no notes here. I just remember it.
Yeah. I don't remember the dice rolls, but I can tell you my matchups. My first round was a Katakuri. A relatively easy game for me. He got to tank Osman, but basically have little on board. Round 2 was Reiju, and I'm very, very comfortable playing versus Reiju as Gecko. A lot of people don't agree with that, but like, I think my semis are a great showcase of how prep and understanding the matchup to its full can swing you very, very unlucky games. Anyways, my third round was Yamato. I spent a lot of time practicing Yamato, hoping it would be my pick for the tournament. It ended up not being so, specifically because of the less than optimal Sakazuki matchup. I really thought it was gonna be better, but the testing with Hrvoje showed that the prospects are not as promising. But Gecko versus Yamato is quite good.
5 life.
5 life is very, very important versus Yamato. You just have to not fall into their traps. My opponent played a very interesting list. I remember that now. He played a ton of 2Ks. And simply spent most of his dawn attacking me. He did play on 3. He went first. He played Mihawk Holy, which is like, yikes. But I did slowly manage to whittle down his board, which was actually pretty hard because he played a ton of 2Ks. So he did lose a lot of cards in hand, but he constantly kept the pressure up. So it was quite an interesting game of Yamato versus Gecko. But I did manage to squeeze it in the end. Then I played 3 Sakazukis in a row. And even though I lost my spoilers, I lost some of the games to Sakazuki. I'm from the testing especially. I was relatively okay going into Sakazuki. I won all 3 games. I wouldn't say decisively. I think the first one was relatively decisive. The last one was very, very tight. Don't remember a lot of the specifics though. I remember some boards, but like telling you about the board without telling you how we got there, I don't think it's productive. Then I played a mirror. And I think in that mirror, oh yeah, I remember that mirror. Where I basically brick. He tries to go all in, fails. He has like 1 card in hand, and then I just blast him on the. Especially in, I feel like in this set, especially in the Gecko Moria mirror, at some point you just run out of resources, and then you're on 3 life, and usually you can be dead on board, because your opponent has, I don't know, let's say they have a Gecko, 5k unit, and a brand new, and you're in 3 life. And I don't know, if you take the first 5, you're literally just dead, right? And maybe even if you have to go all in, you go, what, 7, 7, 9, 9, that can also kill you. Yeah. Dalga Kumaria was won by this Kinumite 8. And then the next 2 games I remember more as they were features on the stream. My round 8 was against Katakuri. Michelangelo Picciano. Sorry for butchering your surname. And that was a very interesting game. What happens is, I'm not gonna go through all of it. As Hrvoje said, we're gonna do a VOD review, but there are a lot of very interesting moments in that game, and a lot of things where I was asked, "Oh, your opponent misplayed," and I explained to them why he didn't misplay, and I think I opened quite a few eyes, because my opponent does some weird plays, but I know what he's doing, and I try to play into it. I mean, long story short, it's about Gidatsu. Anyways, he got relatively lucky. He got 3 triggers from his top 3 life. He got the 2k, and then out of all things, a cracker. And the 5 cost guy is a problem for me because it's super hard to remove. Like, I cannot eruption Absalom it or whatever, right? I basically have to spend an Ice Age to remove it or wait for him to get rested. At some point, my opponent loses quite a few cards, and then pops a Big Mom, putting me in a must go all in situation. And if he doesn't play the Big Mom, I probably can stabilize the board. Then, if he has a 10 Mom, it would have been a different game. But he basically puts me in a I have to go situation. And there was no. Oh, actually, I think there was. Yeah, there was even a Bega in Last Life, right? Yeah. He could have killed Barcelona, but then he cannot play the Big Mom. Then I still have 2 life. Then I can clear his board. That's what I'm saying. And then the game would have been different. Anyways, yeah. Opponent had a lot of pressure, but we managed to squeeze it in the end. And the last game of day 1 was versus Sakazuki, which was also on stream. And there I had a very decent setup going into turn 8. My opponent plays a relatively passive turn 7. I punish it with a Gecko. He clears it, but then he clears part of my board, but then I have an absolutely explosive turn 9 and basically steal the game from there. And that's day one.
It was against your fellow ranked ladder grinder, by the way, against Kurashi.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Which I actually didn't know, because most of the people don't have their Discord names tattooed on their forehead.
That sounds like a you problem.
Yeah. Which actually, I don't know if I ever said this on the podcast, but my Discord username is Voice of the Wind. So if you see me playing on the ranked server, that's me. Anyways, day one, feeling pretty fly. I didn't drop a single game. The deck fires on all cylinders. Even though I'm in tough spots, I feel like I can eke it out. Having 5 life really gives you the stability to not get blown out by a random Mokiku trigger or something. And that's day one. I'm feeling pretty fly. Didn't drop a single game. Although there is one thing I can say that bothered me, and that's my Brennus. Even though I love them, in our local community, Brennus is called Kristian cosplayer because he has the same hairstyle as me, and maybe that's something he
is envious of.
Yeah. Maybe he has a grudge on me. The other part is he played against a lot of Sakazukis, my Brennus, and Sakazuki is his boss, so maybe he got cold feet in front of his boss. I don't know. But that dude missed so many hits, it's impossible. Like, I have north of 80% chance to hit, so you expect to miss every 5th time, which is basically like, I don't know, something like every 4th game, I would say. He missed in total 10 times across the tournament, which is basically every other game I had a brand new miss, which was, I think, funny at some point, because I was baffled at what's happening.
I mean, you still plus you get the stuff in trash. You play Sindri just for that. It's fine, copium.
Moria is the deck which is hurt the least by brand new missing, but still losing one card. There was one game in top cut where if I get the card, I have such an easy win. But missing that one card made it extremely close. Anyways, we know that my first opponent, top 32, is a Gecko, so we're playing a mirror. And also, we know that our next, if I win, my next matchup is also Gecko mirror. So we tested quite a few games with in the mirror, going first, going second.
Well,
and
then you didn't know it initially, but you initially tested Katakuri, but then they released the public deck list, so at that point we knew.
That's why it took us to 2 a.m. to be happy. I wouldn't say even happy, just to lose the willpower to continue. Because job's never done. Anyways, first game versus actually our fellow countryman. Even though his banner says Germany, his family is from Croatia. So we were very pleasantly surprised that he started talking to us in Croatian. A very nice guy by the name of Michel. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. But yeah, because Croatian has some special letters. Without the special letters, his surname looks like normal, maybe even German. But it looked to me, to her why not? But if you imagine the Croatian letters, and the surname is Maltaric, then it's pretty obvious that he's from Croatia.
Yeah, if you follow football, all the Croatian football players, Modric, Krančević, Kramaric, they all have each endings. So when you see IC letters at the end of the surname, decent odds it's Slavic, probably Croatian.
And as I said, super nice guy, played well, played fast, which I really appreciate. Most of my opponents play fast in the top cut. We never had issues with time, even if we went to game 3, which I very appreciate. I hate with a passion the time rolls in One Piece. I never want to go to time. I will do my utmost that that doesn't happen. And my opponents were cooperative with that. Anyways, Maltrich, Gecko Moria Mirror. I win both games relatively handily. He had some. Game 1, he was missing Absalom, which is really tough for the deck. Game 2, I had 2 Gecko Morias and he only had 1, so I outvalued him, outgrinded him. I mean, it's not only that, of course. There's a lot of things, but that was how I remember the game. When the second Moria dropped, he was basically out of it. Of course, you can win through second Moria, but he didn't have the tools to do it. He started spamming Sabos and slowly getting behind on the board. And then we go to my top 16 versus Pierre. I think he won the Paris.
Yeah, the Curtail Treasure Cup. And he also, his top 32 match, he beat Mirko Zanelli, the 4th place from Euros. So it was like either way, you were getting a tough opponent in the mirror, since they were both on the Moria.
Yep. And Pierre played excellent. Actually, this was my first loss for the whole tournament. He beat me game 1. By, I would say, a significant amount. Then we go to game 2, which was maybe not a blowout, but I won relatively. I wouldn't even say relatively single-handedly. It was a proper game, as most of the games were. And then the third game was super close. But he gets down to 1 card, attacks life, I trigger Eruption, he has no cards in hand, and then I nuke his board. And sure, he has 3 life, but no board, and I have a Gecko and a bunch of stuff on the board. He top decks, he doesn't get... I don't know what he needs, a 10 cost Kaido. Even Gecko would probably not select him. And yeah, with that win, we are in top 8. We got ourselves a Shanks, and it's rainbows and roses.
Job's done, but not really.
Yeah, but once again, we are Clout Chasers, so we are gunning for that win. And then we go to Sakazuki, top 8, which is the guy who beat Hrvoje round 7? No, round 8?
Round 9.
Okay, so your last opponent in the Swiss. And I literally take him for a ride. I beat him 2-0. I just put a ton of pressure on him. He never recovers in both games. And that's all she wrote. And then the last 2 games are on stream. My semis versus Enrico Maria Rustico. He plays Reiju. And I think that's, once again, a very nice showcase of how to approach the matchup, especially the game 2 of the set, where I essentially brick. I don't get a Moria, I don't have any strong plays. He keeps bouncing my stuff, and I'm only playing the stuff he bounces, which is usually not where you want to be. But at some point, I decide that I have to go all in. And the way I go all in is also interesting, I think, because I really adapt to what he's doing. Anyways, end up winning that 2-0 with one of the best games I played in that tournament, the round 2, because I was really struggling with what the deck gave me, but I still managed to eke out the win.
There was no hogback existing in that game. Mm-mm.
Among other things, yes.
And I think were 2 brand new Swift? Was that the game?
I think yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Props
then we go to
that was a masterclass. So.
thank you, thank you. Then we go to the finals versus Giovanni Salvatore Oliva, which is one of the most prolific players. Could you even say prolific for a player?
He's definitely the most consistent player in Europe. Like his showing so far are insane.
And he definitely has both mine and Hrvoje's respect. Anyways, he beats me very handily both games. I do break, especially the first game. I will discuss what happens there. Basically, I probably should have taken the subpar first hand. You can see me thinking about it for a while, but I think I shouldn't have gambled because the hand I get is horrible. And I never recover from that. Game 2, he has the nuts top deck to let him win the game, which is unlucky, but even in that game, the deck was also misbehaving. We get, I think, at least one more brand new whiff. I think I do. Then he plays a Kuzan, which I cannot clear because I didn't draw Absalom. It was not a nice game. But props to Giovanni. He brought a very cool deck. He played I don't think he made a single mistake in that finals. At least from where I was sitting. We'll see in the VOD. But he played super clean, and he definitely deserved the win.
Yeah, I think he's the first to hat trick in One Piece regionals.
Yeah, to win 3 regionals. I'm slightly unhappy that I didn't put up a stronger fight because, as I said, the deck decided to. Maybe it was tired. It's been a long 2 days, and I don't know. Maybe the sleeves were uncomfortable. Anyways, not the best showcase. But still, interesting games, which will show you how Sakazuki can really punish some lines from Moria. And that's it. Even though emotionally I'm actually relatively unhappy with the result because I dropped only a single game before the finals. Getting second is an excellent result, as Hrvoje can vouch.
That is true. But I was already preparing jokes in my head, like, if I had a cent for every time a Croatian player went EXO, like, fully undefeated and won a regional, organized by no heroes, in a place that ends on Feld in Germany, I'd have 2 cents. But now I only still have 1, so, we'll get there eventually. And it's going to be very odd when it happens.
No, that's a joke.
Yeah. But still, congratulations, obviously, on the fantastic performance. I even called it. I talked to Giovanni, I think, before top 16. I told him, I know we're going to get to the finals, and that's where Kristian is going to beat you. But then, sadly, maybe I jinxed you. But yeah, the best players made it to the finals on the day, and I think with a stroke, with a bit of luck, it's what decides the games at the highest level. That bit of luck,
probably. I mean, thank you for the kind words, but I think there were quite a few very, very good players who could have been at my place at the tournament. And I always say that I play well. I know my deck. I build my deck. And I put the time in to get good. But I'm also aware that with some different top decks, with less concentration, maybe I would have stumbled. And I'm grateful that the deck was behaving decently well, at least up until the last 2 games. And that I was in my A game, definitely. I played well, for sure. As I said, especially if anything, please watch those Hrvoje games. I think those were bangers. Okay. Any last words about Krefeld?
No, I think we're still feeling a bit tired for it, but yeah, we're moving on to the next event. Like you always look ahead.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we can also move ahead to the next segment of today's podcast, which is, as you may already know, Diamond in the Rough. So Kristian, you can introduce the card.
And it's a card actually very dear to my heart, because I played the archetype in which it is featured, and it's also one of the cards which you will almost always find me buying, which is almost a meme in our community. I own a ton of this card in both its forms, and the motivation for that is easy. I think that the card is essentially quite strong, even though relatively forgotten. And the card we're talking about is the man, the myth, the legend, the scourge of East Blue, Don Creek. Tell us a little about the card itself.
Okay, so I didn't pull up the card because I thought you would do the full introduction, but yeah, Don Krieg is a 6-cost, 7k power unit, green, has no counter. On play, you may trash a card from your hand and KO up to 2 rested 4-cost characters, and he has double attack with the Dawn attached. Obviously, it's not a very unknown card. It was a super rare in OPO3 after all. He was run in Kuro. And he even saw some play in different kit variants, because once again, double attack is a really strong thing to have. But yeah, already when you read him, you get a feeling for his potential and power level as a card. So yeah, I think Kristian, you can review it first, since you are, after all, the biggest Don Krieg fan in the world, probably.
I mean, we always have to preface our Diamonds in the Rough that there's a reason the card is not getting played always. It's not just the players forget about the card, but we do feel that players do slightly forget about the card when they're building new decks at some point, because the green, as it in and of itself as a color, is slightly weak. Basically, like I don't know what else to say. The leaders have been subpar. The meta has been very fast and very removal oriented, which is not aligning with the strengths of green as a color. But Krieg has always been a card which has been on my mind as a very potent card. We always say, and this is actually quite funny that it's a thread connecting our first 2 diamonds. Whenever a card affects 2 cards, your like alarm in your head should pop off that this is something to pay attention to. And Krieg being able to KO two units, that's some spice. The problem is they have to be rested, which is a big ask. You would have to either invest some Dawn's Effect, something to rest them. But yeah, being able to just KO stuff on ETB is always super strong. Especially now that we have black-green leader. Although, which can actually, yeah, rest stuff. Didn't we have a green-black leader?
Isha was the previous one, yeah.
Yeah. But the synergy here is once again very obvious, right? If you Ice Age, you can kill a rested 9-cost and a 4-cost, which can be a blowout. Especially because he's a 6-cost, so you have a lot of freedom to set him up for the KO, right?
Yeah, even like super combos with like Ina or Eruption, which is going to be banned, but yeah, there's a lot of plays to Kuzan, probably the most obvious one that I forgot.
And even after that ability, he's probably the biggest threat on the board now. Being usually with a 2-don investment, being a 9k double attacker is just usually game deciding. Because you don't need a lot. If he, at that point in the game, if he connects to close out the game. So he has two very potent things. He's a game finisher and also a very tempo-oriented on-play ability, which are ingredients for an excellent card, basically. All you would want package in a single card.
Yeah. So yeah, just to add on, like cards which can be dual purpose, like flexible. They always present a lot of power, and in Krieg's scenario, that flexibility is both offensive and defensive because when you deal with opponent's board, that's like inherently a defensive play because you're preventing your opponent from taking cards away from you via attacking or getting the abilities of activate main or when attacking. So when Don Krieg deals with one or two bodies, like ideally two, but one is already pretty good, you are gaining a lot of like defensive value. And then if he's not dealt with, he's a double attack, and that's just like if we think back to OPO2 meta, there were some interesting cards such as Starter Deck Smoker, the 5 cost, which had double attack when there was a 0 cost on the board. And what that allowed was in some very aggressive matchups such as Zoro, it allowed Smoker to still eke out wins because he was able to like push in so much damage at early stages of the game to close it out quickly with the big bodies. And that's the kind of acceleration that double attack in general provides, and that Don Krieg potentially provides in a more aggressive meta featuring a green deck. Ideally green-black one, but that's not to say that the pure green deck could not abuse him very well to just like bring games to a very quick end against decks where which would like to either go very fast to match that pace or go very long to like outlast you, such as like NL or yellow in general, I guess, or blue.
Yeah. We don't want to ramp on it too much. And I hope this is... I don't want to preface this always, but we're still in the beginning of the pod, so I want this to stick. The diamonds in the rough are diamonds, but they are in the rough. There's not gonna be a place for Krieg, I think, in the next set, probably, maybe even the next one. I mean, something might come as a surprise for us, and he has some very obvious synergies with Perona, right? But the meta is speeding up, life control is getting very, very strong. So, once again, don't just jam Krieg into the deck. However, don't forget about the Krieg. A strong card, just waiting to find its place.
Yeah, if I had to point out the problem he has, it's obviously he's weak to removal. He just sits on the board, and if he didn't get value from his effect, he's not gonna like do very lot once he's removed. That was
He
the
doesn't
problem.
have a counter.
Yeah, that was the problem with him before in OPO3 when Zoro would like play against Kuro. You just like Gordon Fire Fist him and something else, or you Otama Jet Pistol. That was the advantage of the Starter Smoker. He was unkillable by card effects, which is like an insane ability to have. We might have to feature that card on this segment in the future.
Maybe.
Yeah, so he's weak to removal, but if you get the value, he can like really push strong. And for example, a place I could maybe see him played in the next meta, like in OPO 7, for example, is Red Purple is going to be a very popular deck. It's like all gas, no breaks, but it runs a lot of 4 costs or less units, and it attacks with them, it leaves them rested. And there's a green deck, which like has some promising prospects in Bonnie, and that deck generally does not fare well against Red Purple. And this is a card that might change that. Like if they leave 2 bodies and you just clear them with 1 card, and you will leave 1 down open for Bonnie's ability, and then you have double attack later to like start pressuring really hard, like double attack into Hody Jones or double attack into Eiko Skid, whatever. Being a 7k power unit also means the traditional Red Purple builds will not be able to deal with him easily because they need 2 reductions, or they need to run weird cards such as Fire Fist, which they don't run in OPO 7 anymore. So there's just like some food for thought. Like he could already be good in the next format potentially, but it just depends. Like we'll see. It's a diamond in the rough for a reason.
And as we said in our introduction to this segment, we just want to focus on the strengths of the card and showcase you the potential the card has. The weakness you said that he's susceptible to removal, he offset that by having a relatively strong on-play ability, which most of the strong cards have. Like getting the value immediately, and then giving your opponent an opportunity to, sure, they can remove it, but if they don't, they get punished, right? So as long as you can get value out of Krieg, I think that card will be definitely a consideration for any green deck going forward. Also, he's dependent on the strength of 4 costs, but currently 4 costs are the premium in the game. Like, if you take a look at most of the units in all the popular decks, the 4 cost slot is overloaded. Like, there's so much good stuff at that point cost. I don't know how you want to put it.
Probably.
Yeah, breakpoint. Which makes his stock go even higher. Okay, that will be all about Krieg. And if you see me at any of the tournaments, please bring any of your AA Kriegs. I will provide them a good home. Anyways, that's all from us. As I said in our tweet, the 2 potatoes need to rest. You will see us in Wolverhampton way sooner than we would like, which is this weekend. And we hope to provide some good matches and also some good feedback when we get back.
Yeah, and if you want, of course, just walk up to us, talk to us, ask questions.
Always.
Like
we
might be
very
tired,
talkative.
but we still enjoy talking too. Like that's the best part of card games, just meeting other people. So always feel free to drop by.
Okay, and with that, we will bid you farewell, and we'll talk to you. If not, we will happen then in a week. Have fun and take care.